All right. Hey, welcome to the Recruiting Game Podcast. I think we're on episode number 6 here. I'm with my guest, Luke Johnson, over at Quincy University. How's it going,
Yes,
man?
sir. I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. The Vanillatron, the man, the myth,
Yes, sir.
Vanillatron.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
self-given nickname. Gotta love it.
Well, yeah. Because what I want to say, Dakota gave you that nickname, though. I thought.
Yeah, yeah, basically. But I was just making a joke. I
Yeah.
definitely made it become bigger than what it was.
It stuck, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
it did.
yeah. So, I mean, me and Luke, we met before we even got to Santa Barbara because we hopped on a Zoom call. Me, you, David
Yeah,
Rowe. We were all
yeah,
planning on living together during COVID, and um, and then obviously you didn't come down till what spring? Was it spring of that?
yeah. Spring 2021.
Okay, yeah, it all gets blurred together. But then
I
after
know.
that, we pretty much started hanging out, and then we started living togosharing
Yeah,
the room
crazy
together
times. Yep,
over
bunk
in Santa
beds.
Barbara. And then yeah, pretty much we're roommates until we all left finally. So
Yeah,
crazy to think about that. How time flies. Never felt
yeah,
like we were gonna get out of that tiny apartment.
bro. I'm so glad they're not in it anymore though.
I
Gosh,
know. I know.
too
I'm
many
here.
dudes in such a small space.
You're telling me, dude. I know. Crazy stuff. But yeah, super excited to have you on the podcast. I think your story's awesome and
Appreciate
pretty
it.
unique story. So I'm excited to let you kind of take the reins and share a little bit. So why don't you kind of take us through go back as far as you want and kind of take us through your journey and how you end up over at Quincy, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I always liked football. It was my main thing in my life. I would definitely say that was my identity growing up. But I never thought I could even really play college football. I never tried to get recruited until schools started showing up at my high school, really. Just because the school I went to, the culture wasn't really about that much. I didn't really have the foresight to look ahead at what I wanted to do in life. And it was really my junior year after the season my coach said, "Yeah, Luke, we think you could play, college football." He said like the GLIAC conference or GLIAC, however you pronounce it, D2, and yeah, so those schools started coming in, getting more calls. But I had a 1.32 GPA. I didn't care about school at all, so I ended up having to go JUCO, and I didn't even know that my GPA was that low until like end of my senior year. I thought I was eligible. I didn't know there was a difference between core GPA and regular GPA, and which is super stupid, but whatever. And so I committed to Dakota College at Bottineau, which is a JUCO that is no longer has a football program up in North Dakota. Played there for 6 months just because it was a semester, and then COVID happened. Transferred to Santa Barbara, and I mean, yeah, that was really it for me. I in high school, I didn't really do much recruiting for myself other than just sending emails, and I went to camps before my senior year. Um, I had a pretty good amount of interest though. I probably had 30 schools talking to me, just like D2, D3, NAIA, some FCS, but it was always question about grades. And during JUCO, I really had no one was continuing to recruit me, and for me, I think Coach Aiden was the biggest help for my recruiting, just because he gave us that recruiting path or the recruiting list is what you offer, just a bunch of schools and a bunch of emails and phone numbers, and yeah, so yeah, Coach Aiden helped a lot with that. I'm kind of getting a little off track here. I forgot where I was
Yeah, no,
going.
you're good. You're good. Go
Uh,
ahead.
but yeah, no, Santa Barbara. So yeah, I played there, played receiver. Um, tore my ACL in the season. I had a rough season. I was in and out, starter, second string. I cut block in practice when I wasn't supposed to. Got kicked out of practice. I was starter then, and then
Totally
the next
forgot
day
about
I
that.
showed up fourth string. So that's just how it goes. And I hurt my shoulder and got sick, and then I tore my ACL. So my season was pretty screwed up. But I uh, I had to play the cards I was dealt, and
Mhm.
ended up just staying and coaching for the next year. Because my nickname for the receiver group was already Coach Luke anyway. That's just kind of who I am. Um,
Well,
And
before we get into like you coaching a little bit, like just to kind of give people a more of a background about like what was going on. So like you went to Botano, obviously,
yeah,
and you played a couple games there, right?
yeah, I started there. Yeah, and I hurt my ankle halfway through. So
And so you didn't know about gray shirting, right? Because you didn't know about gray shirting there. So
nothing.
obviously, like you probably would have gray shirted, right? I
Oh
feel like
yeah. No,
you talked about
if
that.
I knew about that for sure, that's definitely the way to do it. Take less classes, spend less money in JUCO at least, and
Hmm.
just develop. That's the
Yeah,
best way to do it. Save your eligibility for sure.
yeah. So you were coming into like Santa Barbara. You had 1 year of eligibility left. Obviously,
Yep.
COVID happened, so that kind of gave you a little bit more time to develop. And you did it like, I mean, obviously you did a tremendous job developing. But then even during like, I mean, you remember the spring, like you hurt your hamstring.
Yeah.
I
God,
feel bad like replaying this, but I
it
mean,
was so
obviously,
such an
I mean,
unlucky time.
dude, so many things happened that were against you, like the hamstring injury, like mid spring. Then you like, didn't you get COVID, or at least your roommates got COVID?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
forgot about that, honestly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
my
you were out.
roommate had COVID. So I'm and
Yeah,
this is
go ahead.
the very beginning of spring ball, the first day of one-on-ones after we had 2 weeks off the whole team. And then my roommate had COVID. So that was a month I missed. And then
Mhm.
I finally got back for the beginning of spring ball. First day of one-on-ones. I had a good route, caught it. And then the next one, I went up, bossed a guy, and came down. And I just landed like super contorted. And it knocked my pelvis in a weird way. And so it yanked on my hamstring. And so I was out for that for like another month. So yeah, that was a tough spring for sure. Yeah, and then just go into the season. I'd work so hard just to cut block and then get hurt. And then tear your ACL. That sucks, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
no, yeah, and then during the season, obviously, yeah, like you said, like you didn't get to play the first game because your shoulder. Then I mean, you had a couple. You had the West LA game. You did well in that, but
Yeah,
then you ended up getting sick, and like you didn't even travel with us to the
and
Glendale game.
in the game before or the game after LA Harbor, that was week 3. The other team had COVID, so we didn't even play that game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we didn't play Orange Coast until later, obviously, and
yeah.
then yeah, then you got sick for a little bit there, and so like that kind of derailed things, and then finally you get back to the starting spot, and then obviously you had that ACL injury.
First drive. Yeah, super bad
Make
luck.
a great play, and then yeah,
Every single injury I've ever had is on like a great play or something.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I guess you can kind of take it from here. I mean, just go through that, kind of talk about that, and then just you can kind of talk about how you got into coaching at CC,
Oh,
and
it was
then
just
your yeah, your practice pants fell
oh
down.
yeah, I got my DCB practice pants right here. Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, after I tore my ACL, I was really thinking about hanging it up for a little bit there because I wasn't that fast in high school. I played 3 sports. I played football, basketball, and track, but I love track. I love track as much as football, really. And so I was planning to run track at SBCC unless I got like a great offer, like from a D1 who, like, I can't pass that up, for football. But, and, I couldn't run track because I tore my ACL. Um, Crap, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, but
Well,
yeah.
you're
So,
yeah.
yeah, I was thinking about hanging it up and
Mm,
just being done with sports really in general. Because, you tear your ACL, second year of JUCO, what are you supposed to do? And so I just decided, to coach. And I didn't really do much that spring. I just really did PT and rehab. I didn't even have a job. Um, Thanks for my parents for helping me out during that time. And then I worked for SBCC as an assistant receiver coach, just really just getting any role I could on the team. And I ended up proving my worth and being up there in the box and doing some things there, which helped. But yeah, and then after that, I wasn't really sure. But before that, I had an offer to Morehead State that when I told them, yeah, I'm gonna redshirt. I'm not gonna come to your school even in the fall. Then they pulled that. So and they didn't even know I had torn my ACL. But um, and then for coaching, I really didn't know. I was really stressing about it. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was thinking about maybe running track, the spring after. So, the 2023 spring.
Yeah.
And then thankfully, at the end of the season, Quincy came. They were just coming to look at guys, and they got me on a little workout the next day after practice after I talked to them. And they liked seeing how I would run routes because I was healthy, because I had worked my butt off to get back right. And they offered me a scholarship. So that's where I'm at now. It's a little D2 out in Quincy, Illinois. So,
Yeah.
yeah, air raid offense.
No, I think that's just like, it's just crazy thinking back through all of that, like all that I just remember all that stuff that you went through. And I mean, obviously the ACL thing and having to go through that. And I mean, I could only imagine, but then like in the end to like, I just remember the day that you got that offer from Quincy. We were like pumped up for you because
Yeah, no, that was awesome.
so dope.
Thank you, Coach Salazar and Coach Bass, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, and then I think the other thing is, this is one thing that I really wanted to hit on was, obviously you can talk about like the whole, never give up stuff like that. Obviously you did that, but then like to put yourself out there, like you went up to the coaches and were like, hey, like I'm a coach, but I played receiver and like I'm healthy right now. I tore my
Yeah,
ACL, and like you put yourself
exactly.
there, and like I think one of the things was that they just like liked your personality so much because you put yourself out there and put yourself, in that position
Oh
to
yeah,
kind
I mean, you got to be confident when you're talking to a coach. And I actually just saw some guy talking about golf and what you do with business. And if you can't handle competition and a business partner is trying to do business with you, they're not going to want to hire you because you're not confident. You can't handle competition, So it goes both ways. If you're talking to a coach and you seem scared or anxious, you got to just kind of bring that out of you. You got to be yourself, or else they are not going to trust that when the game's on the line, you're not going to be confident. That's a huge thing. And I've seen a lot of guys go down for, is just not having the confidence in themselves.
yeah. No, I think that was like because literally you wrapped up that conversation. They were like, Vanillatron, we love Vanillatron, and they were just
Exactly. Yeah.
loving you right after that. So, I mean, I think that was just so awesome because most guys just wouldn't even think to do that or be too scared to do that, and you were just like, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do," and you did it, and it worked out for you, and now you're here in this position where you're,
Yeah.
competing over at Quincy, and
Yeah.
we're able to get a scholarship even though you didn't even play the last season. Like,
Yeah.
so many guys have excuses, like I mean, obviously I don't name names, but I mean, plenty of guys tell me like, "Oh yeah, I didn't have film or this or that." And it's like, you don't. I mean, film helps, but there's so many other things you can do. And I mean, I
Yeah, I
think,
mean, you
or it's
definitely
just
have to have film. Number one, I still had pretty good
yeah,
film,
it's on film.
and I was a good athlete. So there's, if I had the work ethic and the grades, that's, you can get it offer even while getting hurt. So
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of pretty much what I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. And I don't know if you have anything else that you want to share just with your story of kind of what happened there.
yeah. I mean, it's really all on you, especially if you go JUCO or really anywhere, even in high school. It's all on you. If you don't put in the work, if you don't have the drive, and to put down your ego and look at what you're bad at and try to turn that into your strengths. Like in high school, like I said, I ran track, but I wasn't that fast. And so COVID really was a blessing for me, because for me, if I want something, I'm going to go get it, whatever it takes. I don't have the ego. I'm just going to go hard. And so COVID, I had a whole year, extra year, just to develop. And so I went, I was a manager at Papa John's delivering pizzas, worked at an RV factory, and bought myself a weight room just on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. And I just ran a ton of hills, did a ton of plyometrics, and turned my weakness into my strength. And, that turned me into being a track sprinter in college. I wasn't able to run because of my knee, but I was going to, and I became pretty fast. So, yeah, it's really it, man. Just do what you can do to make yourself better. That at the end of the day, that's all it comes down to.
Yeah, 100%. Cool, man. Well, yeah, I'm glad you kind of spoke about that a little bit more and got to share that. So we'll kind of segue a little bit into recruiting because I know me and you we would talk recruiting all the time,
Oh yeah,
especially towards the end. We'd be like, oh, what about this? What about that? So I don't know. I don't even know where to start. Like, I guess I guess we'll talk about talking to coaches because you do a good job
Yeah.
of that. I think I do a decent job. You probably
Mhm.
do the best I've ever seen. Obviously, that's like to me, that's what got you your offer was like talking to coaches. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you kind of talked about confidence? Like, what do you feel are some other important things when talking to coaches?
Well, yeah. So something I learned from my grandpa, who he served in Vietnam. He's just a guy's guy, one of 9 brothers, and all his brothers are successful with a car dealership. And he always taught me when you go to talk to another man or a woman or anybody, you go up, look them in the eyes, shake their hand, stern handshake, tell them your name, and that's the most important thing. Is just your introduction. First results matter. I forget the term, but yeah, just being confident, just telling them about yourself, ask questions, and especially if a school is coming to talk to you, you should have already looked up where they are, what division they are, what coach could even be talking to you or like at your school. You should know this information that's at your fingertips on the internet. And that's something that people didn't have in the 80s or 90s, but now we do. So you should take advantage of that. At least know what division they are, because that could be very disrespectful. For me, actually, with me and Trent went to a camp in San Jose.
Yeah,
You remember that? And I thought Northern Arizona was NAIA, and the coach was liking me in the camp, and so I kind of big dogged him. And then later on, I talked to Trent in the car. I found out they're Division One. Like crap, like I should have known. I should have looked up what schools were going to be there and what divisions they are, and I should have known ahead of time. You know, that's something important. So
yeah. No, I think researching schools, knowing what's going on, like you said, like knowing what coach might possibly come, and then just kind of knowing about them and what they do a little bit more, like that puts you ahead big time, just in
yeah,
their
for
eyes.
sure.
Like they know they recognize that, and like it's preparation at the end of the day, just like you would on a game day.
Yeah, exactly. Just have your questions ready to go. Know what you want to talk about. Know what you want to present about yourself. Because
Hmm.
ultimately, you're trying to sell yourself. It is their job to field a good football team with good men and people who will have a high grade point average. Like college football is not easy, and it's their job. They got to put food on the table for their kids. So if they're putting down $100,000 into scholarship and travel and all this stuff, and you've got to be what they want. You got to be that guy.
Yeah,
And sometimes you only have 5 minutes to show that you are. They see your highlight tape, the best, very best plays you made all season, but they don't know who you are as a person, what you are like in the classroom, and all the things like that.
yeah. What were I'm curious, like, what were some of the questions that you usually ask? Like, did you have like go-to questions, or did it depend on the
It
program?
really depends. But for the most part, I would already know. Honestly, I would already know the answers to my questions a lot of times, but I would still ask them anyways because I want to keep. You want to keep the conversation going. You want to keep the communication going. But good ones always are after you already know where they're from, where they're located, who the coach is. You ask about their career, their life. You ask what offense they run or defense. Big thing I would ask is like third down, you're playing a cover 4 team. What's your favorite go to concepts to run? Even if you don't really know what's going on, you want to act like you do know what's going on to be real. Like
Yeah,
I
for
know what's
sure.
going on for football and the X's and O's and stuff, but if you just have those kind of questions, you will seem smarter than you are, really. Because I saw something too, the smartest people or the people that seem the smartest are just the people that use the biggest words. It doesn't matter what their IQ is. If you just use big words, people are going to think you're smart. Same thing. If you just say cover 4, oh, they think you know what cover 4 is, even if you don't. So that's a good tip for sure. But yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot
I
what
like
other
that.
questions I
I like
asked. I
that.
haven't
Like,
had to do that in a while.
yeah, no, I like that a lot. Yeah, for me, it was always like I would try to demonstrate, especially because at Santa Barbara, which you were laughing about how I talked about, we let Coach Morales let the tall guys run the offense and
Yeah.
call the shots a little bit.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
yeah, because we were able to do that, I'd always say in any call that I hopped on with the coach, I'd be like, yeah, one of the things that I'm looking for is like, hey, we took control of a lot of things in the offense, like pass protection, this, that, and other. Like, just talk about that for a minute and be like, that's what I'm looking for in a new offense. Like, what kind of opportunities are you giving me? And then usually they'd be,
Yeah,
oh, okay, well, like, hey, we can do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Or like, hey, can I even do this? Because this is what
yeah,
we're doing here. Because like we had full reign, so it was like, hey, I want full reign in your offense because I'm comfortable with that. And
exactly.
most quarterbacks aren't asking those questions. They're just like, oh, do you throw the ball? Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, cool, I'm
yeah,
in.
yeah. Because you need to ask those kind of questions not only to see for them to see if you are a good fit for them, but to see if the other way if they're a good fit for you. You know, that
Hmm.
was the number one thing I liked about Quincy was hearing about their offense, just knowing that they are straight vertical. I'm a vertical receiver. I'm tall. I played basketball. I ran track. I'm good at running down the field and catching the ball. You know, all the release moves and crazy stuff, you know, that's not my forte. I'm good at it. Like I can get by, but what I want to do is go run and catch the ball, do some vertical routes, you know, stuff like that. And so that was important for me to hear just for the fact I want to know if I'm a good fit for them for my own right, not just for them. Because if you're talking to all these schools and you know what your strengths are, then you can kind of determine what school would be best for you.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's so important. Like people always think like, I'm just gonna go to the best school, but it's like it's so important to find the right fit. I feel like
Exactly.
going JUCO really made me realize that because I had no clue. Like in high school, I was like, you're just given your coaches and you're just kind of expected to deal with it. But
Mhm.
then after high school, you get to choose your coaches, which is like
Exactly.
completely game changing. And
Yeah.
you realize like, oh, who I have, like, because you're then the coaching dynamic changes. Like you got coaches like Coach Johnson over here coaching
Yeah.
you, and
Yeah.
Coach Aiden and Coach Marop, and like I enjoyed having that coaching staff. Like, yeah, they'd get on us sometimes. Sometimes I want to love them, but I was always like, this is an awesome staff. I enjoy being around them for 5 hours a day. Like, I want something like that in my next school. And so that was
Mhm.
something I looked at was like, okay, talking to these guys on the phone or going on a visit, I was like, okay, like I jive with the coaching staff. I can talk with them. Like I can joke
Yeah.
around with them. I feel like I mesh pretty well with them. That makes a lot more sense for me.
Exactly. And just two, where are they? Is it close to your home? Is it
Hmm.
far away? Is it in the middle of nowhere? Is it in a super big city? Like you that is the most important thing I feel like people overlook. They just want to see that logo on the hat or on their t-shirt, but they don't really know where they're going to live. Like if you would really like that. Like that was the number one thing about Santa Barbara. You know, it's in paradise and I wanted to live there because you don't really like if you're coming out of high school, you may think you're this, you may think you're that good, but at the end of the day, like you're not really going to know until you step on that field and put out those pads. So if you all of a sudden, oh, I suck at football, you better be in a place where you enjoy life because it's going to get real hard real quick. If you hate where you live and you suck at football and you need to develop and this and that, you know, those are really important things. Like your mental health matters a lot. And that goes along with confidence and all that too. Like I knew I could go outside and get the sunlight wherever. I could go to the beach and do all this stuff after hard practice. Like that makes it all better. It does.
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing about Quincy I like. It's a town that's the right size for me. It's not small, but it's not big. It's close to home, which mattered to me. I wasn't even really trying to get recruited on the West Coast anymore, just because I wanted to be back in the Midwest. So yeah, that definitely matters for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you have to like figure out what's important to you. Cause like to me, I knew I'd probably have to go out to the Midwest or go out to South or East or something like that because there's not a lot of West Coast like only
Yeah,
D1 programs. So I knew that.
true.
And plus, to me, I wanted to get away from home a little bit more. Like Santa Barbara was 4 hours. Like you'd done the far home thing
Yeah,
now with North
exactly. Yeah,
Dakota and Santa Barbara. So you figured out like, yeah, it's nice being in a nice warm area, but I'd rather be closer to home in
exactly. Yeah,
a more familiar area and like this and that about living style. So I like that's awesome that you're able to figure that out. And then for me, it's like I guess it's similar. Like I couldn't be in a place where I wouldn't want to live. Like the city, Sioux City here is pretty nice. It's a
yeah,
bigger town. Like you have some stuff to do. It's not just like they've got a couple movie theaters, not just one.
yeah. That's all you need. In like JUCO, you have a lot of free time, but when you're at a 4 year, you don't have any. So really, like you need Walmart, you need a bowling alley, you need a movie theater, you need a golf course. and a grocery store. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's easier to pick and choose when you're at a 4 year just because you're going to spend so much time just at the school. But yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys in summer workouts right now, or what are you guys doing right now?
Yeah, we do. I'm not there because I don't have a lease yet. I got my lease for July, so I'll be there in July just because I didn't want to stay in the dorms anymore. Just some bad experiences in those communal bathrooms. So I had to get myself my own apartment and just happened to be July. So yeah,
Nice.
I'll head out there when that happens. But yeah, there are summer workouts going on right now.
Cool. Okay. I just wasn't too sure about that.
You
Got
guys
it.
too? I think you're there. Is that?
Yeah, yeah, we've been going on summer workouts for a while now. I think we're on week 6 now. Yeah, week
Oh wow.
6.
You
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
started in May?
Yeah, we started in May. We got like 1
Wow.
week off in between finals and our
Dang,
first
1
week.
week.
Yeah, 1 week,
That's
1 week off.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But the schedule's not too bad. We work out at we run at 6, then have a 7 and an 8 lifting group. I lift at
Oh, okay.
8. Yeah, I get done at 9.
Yeah, that's
Low
cool.
weight
Get it out the
lift.
way.
I'm
Yeah.
done for the day. Like we just started doing 7 on 7 in the at night. So like yeah, schedule is not too crazy.
Yeah, that's not bad at all, actually.
No. No, not at all. So I guess we'll talk. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about as recruiting wise?
Yeah, I forgot to mention too, you want to know who your strength and conditioning coordinator is because you're gonna spend a lot of time with them. Like it's good to know about the offense and everything, but at the end of the day, football is won in the weight room. If we're being honest, like you need those hogs down front eating food and benching a ton and squatting a ton, and even as a receiver, that's important. Do your squats and your plyos and see what your strength and conditioning coordinator is all about. Like, are they just a true just get under the barbell and go? Or are they going to incorporate some of that new style of cleans and plyometrics all interconnected within the workout? You got to know that because that's huge. Like that's what I loved about Santa Barbara was Coach Aiden knew everything that you needed, and you can also put in your own things. Like I did my own research and I presented Coach Aiden with some things that he put in. And it wasn't like I didn't create the workout, but I found it, and that stuff is just so important because when you come in as a freshman, like you're going to be playing against 22-year-old, 23-year-old guys, 24 even, 24 years old, 2 kids, got a mortgage. Like you got to know what your strength and conditioning coordinator is all about because if they don't got a good one, then your program most likely is not going to succeed in the future and you're not going to develop to your best ability.
Yeah. To be honest, I think I was just think I didn't even think about that. That's a good point, but I think it kind of improves like your strength and conditioning coach is good. It improves your quality of life of where you're at. To
For
be
sure.
honest, 'cause, like if your strength and conditioning coach has you benching all the time or like doing heavy squats and not taking care of your body, like you're gonna be beat up all the time. You're gonna hate
Yeah.
going to the weight room. But
Yep.
if they like over here, our strength and conditioning coach just left sadly, but he was great, and we're
Oh
still
wow.
using it. We're still using his program right now. The guy
Yeah.
who's taken over runs the defense, and he's done a great job. But like that program's great. We have mobility in there. They're not killing us a ton. Pretty good stuff there, similar to what we did in Santa Barbara. And
Oh
so like
nice. Yeah.
it's like it just makes a world of difference. Like I couldn't imagine going back to like what I was doing in high school when they were just beating us up and throwing us under the bar the whole time and just getting mad at us for
Yeah.
not for not toughing it out or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a lot of that stuff is like at Quincy too. I think the coach is really good and he knows what he's doing. I got a lot stronger over there. I just think we need to do more running in the spring. I didn't think we ran enough, but I mean we had spring ball, so we were out on the field a lot, but up until then we didn't run much. Also though, it's winter. We don't have $1 million indoor, so it is what it is. But that's just good stuff to know. Know what you're getting yourself into for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's important, especially like I guess you just don't. These are just things you don't really realize when you're coming out of high school. It's tough to like grasp that because
Yeah.
you're young, you just haven't experienced it enough. I think it almost like going JUCO like teaches you a lot of these things. You like
Oh yeah.
recognize it because it's like a
Yeah.
trial period for college, and I mean you did 2 JUCOs, so you kind of got to
Yeah.
see the bad side of JUCO and then the
Oh,
better side of
horrible. The worst side of college football altogether.
JUCO. But
Gosh.
no,
Stand
stand
up. Yeah.
up.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so I mean, you got to experience it twice, and I got to at least see Santa Barbara and like recognize what at least some good like program looks like. So
Yeah.
you just get a better idea. So anything else on recruiting you're thinking about?
I mean, you just get in what you put out, or you, yeah, I think I said that right. Yeah, I mean, if you're not talking to schools, if you don't have good film, if you don't have good grades, you're not going to get recruited. There's no excuses. You can't, you have to be transparent. You can't lie about anything. Tell them your real 40 time, tell them your real weight, tell them your real height, because they're going to find out. They're going to invite you to a camp. They're going to time you. They're going to test you. You're going to do all these things. So when you're emailing and talking to these coaches, there's just no reason to lie. Just be honest. Email as many schools as you can. Talk to your high school coach or whatever coach you can and have them help you. Because a lot of times, like my high school coach helped me a lot. I was doing my own thing with emails and all that stuff, but he was the one really putting in the weight for me, getting the schools to come because they're not just going to come just for you. Most likely, they're going to want to know about your teammates too. So and you can get bigger schools out of that. Come check you out just because your boy is raw, and vice versa. So talk to your high school coach and see what he knows, and get him helping you out because if he sends out film and he sends out 5 guys that are all quality players, you're just going to end up getting more coaches in. And ultimately, that's the most important thing is just getting looked at, really. Just get eyes on your film. And if you have the grades and you're good enough, they'll talk to you.
Yeah, that's so true. Like the biggest thing, the number one, like obviously take care of the foundation stuff of like grades and having some good film and stuff like that. But like as long as you like the goal is just to get eyes on you. Like if you get eyes on you, then good things happen.
Yeah.
Usually. Like if you don't get eyes on you, then you're never gonna get recruited. Like then you're just if you're not sending enough emails or you're not sending enough DMs, if you're not posting on Twitter, like you're just not
Mhm.
gonna nothing's gonna happen at that point.
Yeah. And find out a good way to structure your emails. You don't like I changed my format a ton over time. The first one I sent was probably just horrible. And I don't know if I still have it, but at the end, I would just make sure you have a good subject. It's just your name and maybe your class or your name and your position for the subject of the email because that's what'll pop up. It'll say, Luke Johnson, wide receiver prospect, and then it'll say the first sentence of your email. And just make sure you put your name, class, GPA, and then you put your film, your link to your film, and then put maybe some athleticism stats, and then maybe a little bit about yourself. But that's it. Don't put much more because they probably won't read it. So there's no point. But yeah, just definitely make sure you have a good format for your emails so you don't get overlooked. Even if they happen to click on it, if you have some crazy convoluted message, they've got to look at 1,000 emails, so they're probably just going to click off and go to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like for you, your subject line should have been like Luke Johnson, 6'5" receiver, like
Yeah,
really like flashing on that part because I mean you're tall. So, but
yeah,
yeah, I agree 100%. Like, there's no reason to write a real long like email because they're not going to read it. Like, don't pour your heart into your email going,
yeah,
"Oh, coach, like this and that." Just tell them like, "Oh, hey, coach, like this is me. This is where I'm from. This is where I'm at. I play this position. I run this 40 time. Here's my film if you want to check it out. Here's my contact info." Go from there.
exactly. And if you do want to write like a personal letter, like all about yourself, just put it last. At least put it after everything, so it's optional for them to read. It's not in the way. Just make
That's
sure
really
that
good.
film link is number one. That film and GPA. That's got to be the first thing they look at for sure.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think one of the ways you can do personal stuff instead of including it in the email and the text, and this is something that we're probably gonna start trying with some of the clients I work with, is doing like a personal video. I think that's a good way to get it done because like that'll probably get watched
Oh yeah,
and it's a little more unique.
yeah, that
And
is
then,
smart.
yeah, and then Twitter, you can start now. You can do like voice messages, so that's kind of like another way too that you can kind of do something that's a little more unique and personalize it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, but cool, man. Yeah, anything else recruiting you want to touch on, or is that?
I think that's all good.
Yeah, I think that's
Really?
some good stuff right there for sure. I
Yeah.
think that's That's some wisdom right there, recruiting wisdom that we just dropped
Yep, yep.
from all our years in JUCO.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
I mean, you have more than me, so I
Yeah,
felt like
it
I
was
was.
all worth it though. There's good times, there's bad times, but at the end of the day, you make it through. It's all good.
100%,
It's life experience. You'll grow for sure.
100%. Yeah. So I mean, I like to talk JUCO with the JUCO guys.
Oh
Obviously
yeah,
JUCO. I mean, we'll probably have a lot of JUCO guys because that's a lot of the guys I know.
yeah.
But um, so I mean, why don't you talk a little bit about the difference between North Dakota Botno and Santa Barbara City College?
The first thing, the location, where you live. I hated DCB. I hated it because of where it was. And, I, out of high school, like I said, I had no foresight. I had terrible grades, all this and that. I didn't even know I could play ball in college until I went there. And, I was a starter. I was decent. Our offense was horrible. Our OC was a alcoholic. He got fired after like 2 weeks. Our head coach was calling offensive plays and defensive plays. Like JUCO, there's levels to it, man. Like you got to find the right spot for real. Like Santa Barbara, I came there. It was like I was playing in the NFL. Like the talent, honestly, was about the same. Like there were some dudes at DCB, to be real, but
Mhm.
it was all the difference was in the coaching. Coach Marop, Coach Aiden, Coach Willis, Coach Weed. All those guys. They did such a great job of making it a real program and having that strength conditioning and all that stuff to really help you develop and have structure as a program. And then like I said first, just the location. You can't go run sprints in the winter in North Dakota because it's -20. In Santa Barbara, you can run sprints all year long. It doesn't matter. And there's a ton of hills, so you can run hills anywhere. That's something you don't really think about. North Dakota's flat. There's no hills. You can't run hills. Like you can't do the thing that makes so many players great because the location where you're at is flat. So like that's little things you have to think about if you're really trying to be great.
Yeah,
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 that was definitely the fundamental differences right there.
yeah. I mean, I got to hear a lot about those. We talk about it, and I'd just be shocked sometimes with some of the stories
Yeah.
that you tell me. So, yeah. I mean, what do you feel like? Because I mean, you kind of got to obviously you went to North Dakota Botano, so you kind of went to that, and then you got to get a second chance at a JUCO and go to Santa Barbara. I mean, what do you think people should be looking for in a JUCO when they're choosing one?
Well, like I said, just a good fit. I looked at every single JUCO in the country to be real. Like after, because our program was going to get shut down, and the school told us because our team GPA was point 0.5, which is crazy.
Oh,
Point 0.5. Our star DN was in my English class. I had no idea. I had no idea he was in my English class. And so they shut down the football program. And I actually had a 3.0 GPA, so I was really feeling good about myself. So yeah, I just stayed up all night one night after they told us that they're shutting down the program. And I just, like Trent does for everybody, and that is so tedious to do, to collect emails of every single school. Like that is such a nice thing to have and to just be able to buy that. Like if I could have just bought that, I would have bought it 100 times because I really spent all night long just painstakingly, tediously collecting all these stupid JUCO contact informations and did all this research. And so I was in contact with Lackawanna after they won or they lost a national championship, and then it was Santa Barbara and I think Citrus, and those were really the three that I was really looking at. And wait, what was your question though? I forgot your question, your original
just what,
question.
what should people be looking for in a JUCO?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So just a combination of what we said before. Location, fit. Offense, strength and conditioning. Do they have a meal plan? Things like that. What degrees do they offer? Because you're going to college. You're going to school. You got to know what you want to do, and you got to have a plan, and you got to talk to the coaches. You just got to feel what is the best fit and just trust your gut and pick at the end of the day. And when you do pick, you got to go all the way and be the best version of yourself you can be.
Yeah, I agree with that gut pick. I feel like some people like they play the like pros and cons games too heavy, or they play
Oh
like
yeah,
they just look into the details too much. And it's like I feel like you should have a feel for what's the best one. And
Yeah.
if it's not like 100%, like you don't feel 100% that it's the right choice, then it probably isn't.
Yeah. Exactly. Got to go with your gut.
Hmm. So I mean, yeah, I mean that was kind of a question that I had because you kind of did it more times than I did personally.
Hmm.
But I thought the same thing. Like for me, it was like fit. It was just fit for the most part. It was like, hey, do I fit here as like a player, as a person? Do I fit with the coaches? The location was like a bonus to me because it was
Yeah.
on the beach, obviously. So I agree with all your points 100%.
Yeah.
Like you just got to have that feel though at the end of the day of like, okay, are they? Because I think the other part is you have to have like that sixth sense of like, is the coach being honest with me?
Yeah.
And are they telling the truth? Because that's a big one. I think is a lot of people uh, just buy into whatever the coach is saying, and I haven't
Yeah.
experienced too many times where I'm like, oh, this coach is just lying. But I definitely have had a few times where the coach is talking about like their team or a player on their team, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're talking about their player like that. Like I do not want to go there because they just do not seem like a good person, and they probably would say the same thing about me if I went there. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point too. You know, that was I forgot about that. I was talking to Citrus, which was another JUCO in California, and their coach spoke highly of Coach Aiden and just Santa Barbara City College and Coach Marop and everybody. So, you know, that went a long way for me. And honestly, choosing to go to the school that coach was not at. You know, I didn't go to Citrus. I went to the guy who went to the school that they talk good about. So, yeah, yeah, definitely gotta see through the BS for
yeah,
sure when you're talking to a coach because they're trying to be a salesman. You know, they're trying to sell you, so you got to know if you're really trying to buy for real.
especially in JUCO, especially in California JUCOs, because it
Yeah.
can't offer scholarship. It's like, hey,
Hmm.
come to our pay to come to our school and come play here with
Yeah.
us.
Pay me to yell at you to run up this hill.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, that's what they're trying to convince you to do. So they have to like do a really good job doing that. And so obviously you gotta be kind of wary of what's going on sometimes. Though I think like that was one thing that I really liked about Santa Barbara was like they were honest,
Yeah.
brutally honest,
Oh
definitely
yeah.
brutally honest. But it was always like really good for us, and I never was like had hurt feelings about it or anything. I was like, oh no, I mean I can see that. So
Yeah. No, for sure.
cool. I don't know what other JUCO stuff should we talk about? I mean, JUCO stories, JUCO.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're going JUCO, you got to know that you love the game. Like if you don't love the game, you're just wasting your time. Like
Yeah,
it's I guess it's different. Like California JUCO is a lot different than like the NJCAA. I feel like the NJCAA is like you're 9 times out of 10 you're gonna live in a super shitty place. Like you're gonna be on the prison cell, but you're not in prison. But you know it's gonna feel like that. If you're going to East Mississippi, I mean you're gonna have FBS guys who got out of prison that are gonna take your spot. And California is like, you got all these like surfer bros that are like, oh yeah, I'm just playing ball because it's city college, you know, and you're gonna run into a lot of that. And California is incredibly expensive, so you got to have your financials right for sure. And that's
yeah,
another reason the only reason I was even able to go was because I was able to save up money during COVID and be able to work a job because we didn't have a season for a while. Um, but yeah, I forgot the question that you asked again.
no, I was just asking what you thought, but I think that's a good point. I mean, me and Alex talked about that kind of the last episode, just that like JUCO's a grind. It really tests your
Oh
love for
yeah,
the game, and that you know, like you said, like so many guys walk in there thinking it's going to be a piece of cake, or like they're going to start right away, or that it's going to be easy because it's JUCO, and then next thing you know, they disappear like on day three because like they're trash. It's
oh
like
yeah, it's
it's
crazy.
it's crazy to see that.
Yeah, like you really and that's something you like. You don't really like I said earlier. You don't really know if you're good or not. Like you're gonna find out. Like you can think you're so good or so bad, but you're going to find out when you put on those pads. Like at Santa Barbara, what Barry D1 DB, uh, Jacoby
Jacoby,
D1 DB, uh, team MVP. probably could have gone D1. Just quit. Just stop showing up, you know? He never could, just get it right with, I don't think he really loved the game, but bro could wake up, run a 4.4, had striations in his muscles like I've never seen in my life, and would go out there and moss a DB just to not know the playbook and, just not care that much about football. Like that's California JUCO football. You're going to be lining up across a dad who's 30 who just decided to join the gym class, because that's what it is. It's a gym class. And nobody cares about you at all. Like, I got the ring, for our conference championship, and I'm like showing people, and they're like, "Oh, is that high school?" Like, come on, man, But it is what it is. You gotta love the game, man. But you could end up great, You like Barry Jacoby. They're at Syracuse now, right? Alex is at Washington.
Absolutely,
I
Washington.
tore my ACL, coached, and I'm getting a free degree, So
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean
it
Luke
definitely
Luke
can work out for
Edwards.
you. If you love the game, you put in the work.
Yeah, I mean Luke didn't like Luke Edwards, and he didn't start that many games. He's over
Oh
at
yeah, yeah,
he's
true.
at Wuso. I didn't start that many games. I'm over here. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't like if you really love the game and you're able to get on the field, get some good film, like you can get out and go.
yeah, and that's another thing about JUCO and kind of back to recruiting. Um, the uniqueness of it is like, so you're supposed to be developed. Like, you can still have like a little bit left in the tank. Like, you really should, especially if you're in Cali, just because of the meal plans. You don't really have a meal plan, so
Yeah,
like you should be able to put on more weight and things like that. But for the recruiting and the uniqueness of it, it's like you should be developed. They've seen you play in college, so you're more likely to find a good fit. But because of that, you also are likely to not get recruited quite as much because schools will know exactly what you are or like what you should be. So like they know your weaknesses and your flaws a lot better than if you're in high school, because high school, like, your film honestly sometimes means nothing. Like, I've seen some guys with crazy high school film that are trash, that are just not good at the game of football. And it's crazy how it works out like that. But JUCO, I mean, you're going to be playing with so much talent that you're going to really thin out the herd. So the schools that do recruit you, like, they're going to call you on the phone and they're going to offer you. Like, that's JUCO recruiting. Like, they're going to come see you in person and you're either getting offered or you're never getting talked to again by this coach. Like, it's that black and white, to be real. Like, sometimes you'll get strung along, like, and the only time that'll happen is if they're looking at like three guys that are all about the same. Like for quarterback example, like, they're looking at 3 6-foot plus guys at different JUCOs, and they're not exactly sure which one to pick. They're just trying to maybe see which one would actually commit to their school too. Like, are they the right fit? Or are they really interested in us? So, but yeah,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. Like what you said, I always try to get that point across. Like they're not when schools are looking at JUCO, they're not looking for someone that can develop or can grow or can be like a better player in the future. They're like, hey, we need someone who's ready right now. Like
mm-hmm.
if you're not like literally, they'll probably just look through the roster or look at the school's prospect list and be like, and just have the criteria of like, okay, we need a guy whose weight is this and whose height is this, and if you're not this, we won't even look at your film. Like
Exactly.
we don't even know who you are. You don't exist to us. Like we need this criteria, and if you're not that, you're gonna get looked at. You're gonna get passed up, unless like your film's insane, which is like
Yeah,
Marcus Bella.
yeah, and yeah. I
That's
mean,
literally
you can be a dog, man. Like, and you can be tall and have no film, and they're not going to talk to you. At the end of
exactly.
the day, how do you play football? But that's with JUCO, like I was saying earlier, just about the fit. They're going to know where, like, they're going to know who you are. They're going to know your strengths. So I think it's better to go JUCO because, number one, you're going to find out if you're not like a guaranteed D1 guy, like if you don't have all these offers. I think you should go JUCO if you really love the game, because number one, you're going to find out if you're good or not without an immense financial commitment. So you're not going into debt with loans as a preferred walk on somewhere. And you're going to end up finding out what you're truly good at. Like, you're going to find out if this offense is good for you, this offense is bad for you. da 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 da. So when you get recruited, most of the time you're going to end up at the best fit for you. You know that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
plus you get to test out football, like college football, and see like because I mean I never had anything against the people that were like, you know what, I'm done. Like I don't want to play. Like
yeah,
I only had problems with the people that were like, oh, like the coaches, this and that, or whatever. Like those are the people I had a problem with. But like they
yeah,
were, if they were at the end of the day, like I can think of guys off the top of my head that like they were just like, hey, this isn't for me anymore, or like I'm just never gonna play, or this or that, and like they realized that they were like, I'm gonna go do something else, and I was always okay with that. And so it's like a good trial period of like, do you really love it enough to go the 4 years? Because we go like at these small schools like even here at Morningside, like they recruit freshman class of like 30 or 40 because like half of them are going to drop by their sophomore year because they just didn't like they didn't know what they were walking into. And so at
yeah.
least you can go JUCO and kind of like experience a little bit without that large financial commitment like you were talking about, and kind of experience it a little bit and kind of get a taste for it.
Yeah, and two, you you find out if you really love it too, and you just play. Like if
Yeah.
you go to a 4 year, like I said, like even in JUCO, like there's going to be like 25-year-olds and stuff, but there's going to be a lot less of them. And odds are, if you're 25 in JUCO, you're probably just a bad athlete. So like an 18-year-old might actually just be better than you anyway. But I mean, you're going to play. Like if you're good and you're actually going to go D1 or D2, you're going to play more in your first 2 years of JUCO than you would at your 4 year, unless you're like NFL, or just at a school that's just way too bad for you. But that's also a great thing about JUCO. When you play, it's gonna be hard to get under recruited. Like if you do the stuff in the game and all that, like you're probably gonna find yourself at the right level for you at the right school, most likely.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree for sure. I think, yeah, as long as you play, like it seemed like everybody to me ended up at the level that they should have or that they wanted to at the very
Yeah,
least. Like I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Like now that we kind of got through the whole recruiting cycle, like I mean, Jacoby, Barry both ended up in a Power Five school, which is crazy to think about. And then together, and
yeah, that's
then
awesome. I'm
yeah,
hella happy for them.
I know I'm jealous to see that because that's so cool.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah, we
then
almost did, bro. We almost did. That would have been crazy.
that would have been
Almost.
crazy. That would have been
Yeah,
crazy. Mexitron and Vanillatron.
yeah.
Uh, no, and then I
Pedro
mean
Manning, the
Sarno,
Mexican missile.
and then Kobe made it. Went
Oh,
FCS. I
oh
mean
yeah, yeah,
Hessler's getting recruited still. Damien's going to go D1 probably. I don't know where he's going to end up at, but
yeah.
somewhere. And then
What's his name? Roa, Josiah Roa,
Roa went to Jackson State. Alex went to UW. Like
Hastings. Our whole line, our whole
Hastings
D
played.
line.
Hastings going to play tight end.
I know that's crazy. He'll be
Like
good though if he can learn how to catch the ball.
100%. Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I can't even think of anyone else. Luke, obviously, Luke ended up where he should have, and we'll see where the other guys end up. But like, yeah, I mean, I think everybody that I felt like should have gone, to a certain place went to that certain level and maybe even exceeded my expectations. So
Yeah,
like,
and
it
you could even exceed
out.
your own. You know,
100%.
like I said, I was getting recruited by some good schools before I tore my ACL, and I'm very happy where I'm at Quincy. But I mean, you might exceed your own. You might develop into some, speed demon or strength demon that you never thought you had inside of you, and it's good for that for JUCO because then you can, end up winding up at a better spot than you could have out of high school.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's some good stuff for sure. Yeah, and the competition aspect in JUCO is awesome too. Like how I wouldn't say awesome. Not at the time you're like, this sucks. Like
Yeah,
I have a starting spot, and next thing you know, I'm not the starter anymore. But like that does push you every single day to be like on your A game and like makes
yeah.
practice intense. And it's a pretty unique situation that you don't really get at a 4 year level.
Yeah. And I mean, competition, that's really what it's all about. And, like we were talking about earlier, you're going to be playing against Robledo. I'm going to be playing against Chase Wells, my boy, and another guy, Teron Yancey from DCB. And Chase was at SPCC, and we're now at rival schools. We were competing for reps. and then now we're gonna be playing against each other. That's just so cool. Like you can't pass that up, or you can't write that better in the storybook. It's
Yeah.
just awesome to be able to do that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, and you just develop. I mean, like we said, like JUCO is a really test of your love of football. Like during that time, you just develop these like close bonds, and it's not even like, you know, I mean, obviously you're spending a lot of time together, but just because you go through this thing that like sucks so much, you just
Yeah.
instantly like I have like the utmost respect for everybody that made it out, and I want them
Oh yeah.
nothing but the best because I know
Exactly.
like I'm sure people are so confused on like, oh, why would you be friends with Alex or this or that, like because you guys were competing all the time. And it's like I know exactly what he went through because I went through the same thing, and we both
Exactly.
worked our butt off, and it was never against like it was never, oh, Alex sucks or like I suck. It was like, hey, we both are pretty good, like let's go compete against each other and go try and make
Yeah.
this team better, and we did, and we both got out, and we're like both rooting for each other, and it's awesome.
And you
It's
have
like
no ego. That's the number one thing. You have no ego.
yeah.
It's competition, but you love each other as your brother. You try to make Alex better. Alex try to make you better. Same thing. Like I try to make Chase better every single day.
Mhm.
And he did the same thing, and it ends up better for the both of you at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just awesome. It's awesome. We should just go back. We should just let's take out our fourth and third JUCO
Yeah.
years.
No, I wish Santa Barbara was a 4 year, bro. I would have
I
loved to be
know.
there.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a
Yeah.
good UCSB 4 year
Yeah.
program.
I know. Yeah. No, I missed my time there for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to all go back and definitely catch up at some point.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I haven't been back since I left in December, and I definitely want to go
Oh
back.
wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah. True. I went back for spring break. See my girl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you? I mean, I guess we shouldn't talk about it too much on here, but yeah, yeah, it was good times. Good times.
Yeah.
I was just gonna go into some other stuff, but
We can
no.
talk about that after. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 exactly. No, cool, man. I think we're hitting about the 1 hour mark, so I'll probably wrap it up here.
All
Anything
right.
else you wanna leave it the viewers with here? The ones that the couple people that probably made it to this point.
Yeah. Shit, man. If you're about it, be about it. Live that shit. I wanted to get faster every single day of my life. Every minute, every second, I thought about getting faster. You got to visualize it. You got to go out and do the work. You got to do every single thing that you possibly can do to get what you want, or else you won't. You won't, or you just won't achieve your potential. Like if you're into video games and you're gonna do this 2K my player and turn yourself into 99 overall, do that shit in real life, bro. Like, what is the point of doing it on a video game if you're not doing it in real life? So, but yeah, that's it. Just be about it.
I like it. That's good. We'll wrap it up there, man. Appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure I'll have you on again. So
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure this
sure.
won't be the last time. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on, and yeah, let's
All
wrap it
right.
up here. And thanks for watching, guys, and
Yep.
we'll
Thank you.
see you on the next the Recruiting Game podcast. Peace.